guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm just here for another one of our mass making Tuesday sessions. So today I'm going to mass make these little side pockets. You know, obviously if you want to craft along and make the same things, you know, that's fine. If you wanted to craft along and make your own things, then, you know, again, that's fine. If you wanted to craft along and make these style pockets, all you're going to need, as usual, is your scissors, some glue and some papers. So A4 papers, your 12 by 12 papers, you know, maybe some coffee dyed paper, anything you like, some book page, some sheet music, you know, whatever is going to work best for you, and possibly, you know, your corner rounder. If you're going to be wanting to decorate your pieces, obviously you may need to bring some bits in to decorate, you know, some inks, maybe a corner rounder, you know, some stamps, things like that. But if you're just making the blank foundations, then it's just the glue, the paper and the scissors really. So hopefully I have not forgotten anything, and that's all that you're going to need. So hope you'll join me in a moment. I've just brought along a whole bunch of paper. So I'm going to get started with the kind of, you know, what I would deem as the easiest papers to work with first. So I've just brought along a bunch of my, you know, some of my background pages that we can make some of these pockets from. So I'm going to start with this one, which is my Blue Skies, Rosy Skies, sorry, collage page. Now, when I did the tutorial on these, I showed that, you know, I really don't measure anything. What I tend to do is just kind of fold these in very loosely and then fold the flap over to see roughly where I'm going to want them. So that's all I'm doing here. So if you're making, you know, the same thing as me, this is my method. You know, it's not really a method as such, it's just, this is what I've found works best for me. You may find that this works for you, it maybe won't work for you, depending on how you like to do it, because I know that some people, they're a bit more precise and they like to kind of measure things and, you know, what have you. Personally, I like this method. So then I'm just going to trim it down roughly to the height that I'm going to want my pocket. So again, because I'm trying to do this in an efficient kind of way, I'm going to do all of my folding as the first thing before I get gluing. So, you know, I'm really trying to focus in on what's, you know, what's the best method to use here. So I'm just going to fold that one in there, and then I'm going to fold that in there like that. And then this one I'm going to just trim it down, probably top and bottom, so I've just got a small piece or a small section of the darker frame around it. So just actually, that's very straight, I kind of press that out as I was doing that. So let me just fold that in again like that. Really loud. I think there's some sort of air thing going on. So I think that's what that is. Right, so that's another one. So I mean, these, hopefully we're going to race through these and, you know, hopefully really achieve tons and tons of these. It would be fantastic. So because obviously some of the pieces that we've made have been a little bit protracted and lengthy to make, so it would actually be really lovely to make you know, one or two really quick things. I didn't really think then, and I just trimmed down that bottom bit thinking, oh, I'll trim down the top, but actually I didn't really need to do that. Whoops. Now I'm knocking them on the floor all off of my desk, so that's another one. Right, so that's my three really simple oh no, I've got one more simple page that I can kind of do. So, and I mean, I just do this so that I can roughly gauge what patterns I'm going to have showing. That's why I do it this way, because obviously if I make my folds, I might then decide, oh, actually, you know, I would have preferred something else. You know, if I'd folded this in too much, you know, I might have lost this little bit of fancy piece, or if I folded this too much, might have just ended up with the plain. So, you know, that's why I do it in that method. So I'm going to stop rambling on, I think, about what I'm actually doing here, because, you know, I do have a tutorial on these pockets, and, you know, I mean, obviously we're doing the mass making. So, you know, I'm just literally going to show you how to make one or two, and then, you know, we'll hopefully just all go on our own sweet way making them. So, excuse me. That said, I've brought along some 12 by 12 sheet. Now, I haven't ever tried making any of these from a 12 by 12 paper. So, you know, this is a new thing for me too. Hopefully it's going to be just as, you know, just as successful. I may need to trim the 12 by 12 sheet down slightly, because I might end up with a very wide pocket. So I'm just going to just fold that section over there, and then just going to trim it down slightly, because I mean, obviously 12 by 12, an A4 piece, I think it's something like 11.5 or something like that. So I mean, it's not vastly different to the size of an A4 paper anyway, so, you know, but obviously it is slightly different, so, but not vastly, so I didn't need to trim too much off. And again, obviously I just trim off now the white from the top there. So there we go. So yeah, these are very super speedy pockets to make. These may be my new favourite pocket, to be honest, because I just love all things simple. So, you know, for me, these are really winning ones. Excuse me. So this one, I'll just trim this across in the first instance. So hopefully you guys are now getting quite a stash of your ready-made supplies. I can't remember now whether this is week 5. This might be week 5 to the fifth one. Which, you know, if you've been making, you know, the same sort of numbers as I've been making, then, I mean, I haven't looked, but I think I've made 12 a week. So I should have around about 48 bits, I think, made. I haven't, you know, I haven't looked. They're still just on the side, would you believe? I haven't touched them. I haven't done a thing with them. I was waiting for my ink pad and my, you know, new blender tools to arrive. They have arrived, but I still haven't touched them. I've just been really busy with other things. So I haven't decided on a storage solution for them or anything. They're just, yeah, literally where I've put them. But, you know, that feels really nice to, you know, think that I've got that amount of ready-made bits. Okay. Now this paper, can you see, is really pretty. It's got kind of postmarks and things stamped in it, but it's also glittery. So I'm not quite sure, you know, whether this is going to necessarily be that successful when it's folded in, but, you know, we'll give it a try. Let me just think. So I'd probably trim this end off and try and keep some of this piece showing. So if I fold it in like that, slightly less, fold it in like that. And I've still got a little bit of that, you know, script and postmarks and things going on and still showing. So, you know, that's quite nice. I thought that might have cracked, because sometimes that glittery card or paper, you know, can be a little bit prone to cracking, but actually it was fine. So I'll just trim that across the top, because I made obviously a terrible job of cutting that in the first instance. So just trim it down slightly more. Wow, these are proving to be, honestly, the quickest pockets on the planet. Just got this butterfly here from before. Just thought it would look lovely on there, and weirdly enough, I'd actually thought it would look lovely on there as well. So, yeah. Again, that desk ephemera coming in so handy, just useful all the time. Right, now here, as you can see, I've got this black sheet. Now, this was part of a paper pack. Again, I couldn't tell you now what it was called. I can't remember for such a long time. Again, it's from a scrapbooking days, which, you know, I loved all the green and the, you know, the glitter, but now, again, it doesn't really fit with the journaling thing. So I'm going to trim this down. I know that seems really wasteful, but it's the way that I think, you know, I will now be able to use this sheet. Whereas otherwise, you know, although this seems wasteful, it was even worse because I just wasn't using it at all. So I'm just going to bin that, you know, because I'm trying to get on top of my stash is part of this process of these Tuesday videos. But also, you know, if I'm not going to use things, there's literally no point in keeping them. So, you know, I'm just going to be rigid and get rid of that. So again, I'm just going to trim this down here. Now, as you can see, there's still little bits of that swirly showing. So I'm just going to see how this, you know, how this will be folded in, how much of it we can lose on the folding in process. So if I just fold this in. This is not a very nice paper to fold. I don't know whether it's a bit too thick or just it's a kind of glossy, sheeny type paper. I'm not sure. It doesn't want to fold in very nicely, so it's not all that nice to work with. Right. So just do that like that. So, you know, as I say, although this seems incredibly wasteful, you know, for me, this is now a usable piece where it just wasn't previously. So, you know, at least now I'm going to have a chance of actually using it, which, you know, is far better, isn't it, than it just sitting there not being used at all. So that's that one. I've got some book page here, so again, might just I'm wondering whether I need to double this or whether actually doubling it like that's probably enough, to be honest. So I might just make a couple of those. So I'll just fold that in like that. Like this. I mean, probably, you know, Patricia may have already come up with this as a pocket, you know. I mean, to be honest, you know, she's so clever. I'm not sure what she hasn't come up with already. You know, she seems to have kind of come up with all sorts with her book pages. So, you know, I apologise, Patricia, if you happen to see this video and it looks like I'm just stealing your ideas. You know, it's just that obviously they looked very different, you know, when being made with scrapbook papers and, you know, craft papers, 12 by 12 papers. So, you know, it didn't look to me like anything I'd kind of seen before, but I do apologise if it is. So I'm not trying to intentionally pinch your ideas and claim them as my own. Right, there we go. Just go there. So let me just have a quick count of how many we've done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're on 11 already. These are definitely the, you know, the fastest pockets to make, aren't they? So the last piece that I'm going to make here, you can see I've got a similar situation going on with this, in that I've got these decorative sides, which again, you know, I would have bought the paper for these decorative pieces in the first place, but now, you know, they're not something that I'm now really going to use. So I'm going to cut it along this way. And again, just going to try and not use those pieces. So, I mean, it seems really sad, doesn't it? But, you know, to be fair, I've obviously used other pages out of the paper pack. So, you know, although it seems incredibly wasteful, and I am being really, really strict with myself and actually binning the pieces straight away, which, you know, unbelievable, to be honest. But I'm actually doing that. But although it seems so wasteful, I have obviously used you know, other pages out of the paper pack, so it's not as wasteful as it sort of first appears, really. Right, so again, I'm just going to fold this piece in. In fact, I probably want to do it this way round. And again, just try and disguise those flowers as much as I possibly can. So I wonder, I might even be able to go further like that. And then like that. So it's quite a sort of narrow pocket, but you know, it has now covered up those flowers. So again, you know, although this seems very wasteful, it's actually, you know, now it's a way of actually using that paper where I wasn't using it previously. So, you know, it's another sheet of paper gone from my stash, so, which is awesome, you know. I mean, it is awesome, but, you know, for some reason it's just making not a single bit of difference because I have so much paper. Right, let me just check that I'm in frame, check the time. Oh my gosh, we are literally at 15 minutes. This is unbelievable. Right, okay, very hot now. So let's get gluing these down. So maybe we're actually going to, you know, have a shortish episode, which would be great, wouldn't it? Because I'm sure that you must all be pretty bored of these lengthy episodes doing same old things, you know, just making repeats. There we go. That piece. Okay. You know, and again, hopefully you're finding this also, that you've got just a bunch of, you know, variety of colours and styles and things like that now. So as you really have got quite a good choice. But if you were making a journal, you know, particularly if you were making one that you wanted to, you know, get on top of quite quickly, you've got quite a bit of stuff now ready-made in your you know, ready-made pieces, which is awesome. So there's that one. I'm just going to have a sip of my water, so just excuse me for a minute. Right, so do this one now. Oops. Oh, come on. I mean, the reason, this is my brand new glue as well, so I don't know quite why this is now misbehaving. So, I mean, not helped really by the fact that half of it's easing out the side, but I've said this before. I mean, sometimes you just get a glue that's brilliant, and sometimes you just buy one and it's just clogging up constantly. So, I don't know. And the reason that I'm doubling these pages up rather than just folding over, you know, single pieces is really just so it's a bit more robust. You know, you've got slightly thicker pieces that hopefully are going to be slightly more resilient and stronger to use. So, you know, I mean, there's no reason that you couldn't just make these singly rather than folding them and doubling them. But obviously by doing this, we're effectively kind of, you know, reinforcing the paper, aren't we? The page. So, you know, that's why I'm doing it this way. Okay, there's another one. Wow, we are really, really racing today, which is awesome. So, and obviously at, you know, at the end or towards the end, we're going to hopefully decorate one, you know, which is of course the fun part. So, and the decorating, I mean, that's where my desk ephemera really comes in particularly handy, because, you know, when I come on to do these, I just have my plan of the type of pocket or the piece or whatever that we're going to be doing in mass that day, but I don't have the foggiest, you know, what I'm going to do with regards to decorating. So that's where having my desk ephemera is so handy. And for anyone who's just joining for the first time and doesn't know what I'm talking about, desk ephemera is a term that somebody used in a comment when referring to their messy desk, and she said that she just calls it her desk ephemera, and I just loved that term. So yeah, it's become one of my favourites, I think, and it's now how I'm going to just refer always to my messy desk situation too. You know, makes it sound like it's somehow useful to have it such a mess. Well, I mean, personally, I think it is quite useful because it definitely does prove quite inspirational to me to have just random rubbish. Well, not random rubbish, of course, random treasures, perhaps I should say, laying around that I can just grab. You know, because often I wouldn't think to use certain things, and then I just spot them poking out from underneath something, and it's like, oh, I could use that here, you know, which is great, isn't it? There we go. So I hope everyone's having a good day. Hope you're managing to do some mass making of your own. I mean, I know that this, you know, and I've said this every single episode now, so it's a bit like a scratch record, but, you know, I appreciate this is not the most thrilling video process to watch, but, you know, just repeat making things. But, you know, I know that some people, when I have made comments about, you know, finding it a bit of a struggle to make things en masse, I know that several people commented that they too find that a bit of an effort, or a bit of a, you know, bit of a struggle. So it's just, you know, hopefully by sharing the experience like this, it's less tedious and becomes a little bit more fun to do. So, you know, as well as obviously using up a whole bunch of stuff from our desks and from our paper stashes, you know, that we've all probably got tons of. So that's, you know, that's the thinking behind this. So, oh, lovely, thank you. It's just my husband got me a cup of tea there. He's working from home today, and I've just been non-stop videoing, so feeling a little bit parched now. There we go. Just going to get some of that glue off and just use that there. Sorry, excuse my fingers, just very messy crafter I am. Very, very messy crafter. I know that I've said this before, but my daughter, she is just the most exceptionally messy person. You know, joke with her teachers all the time because she goes into school on a Monday, you know, in her fresh uniform, and she comes out Monday afternoon looking like the biggest scruff bag on the planet. She, you know, is normally covered in her lunch, she's covered in paint, she's covered in mud because they have a mud kitchen, you name it, she's covered in it. And I don't really see any other children coming out looking quite as bad as that. So yeah, I don't know whether she's got that from me or, you know, but she's filthy. But she loves it. She loves being really mucky like that. You know, the more mucky she's getting, the more she likes it. And she just laughs. You know, if you say to her, my gosh, you know, none of your friends come out looking like you do. You know, you just look so filthy. She just laughs. She just thinks it's funny. So, you know, you can't kind of help her. Always attracted to quite mucky play. You know, she loves anything that's a little bit mucky. She loves water. My middle son, he absolutely loved water, probably more than she does actually. Yeah, I mean, kind of if there was water around, he was there playing with it, you know, or else he'd go to the toilet, you know, and then you'd kind of call him and he'd be in the toilet, you know, with the plug in the sink, filling the sink up with water. And obviously when he was really small, there was then the odd occasion, well, the odd occasion, it just happened once really, because actually he got a telling off after that and he didn't really do it again. But, you know, where of course he then was pushing toilet roll down the sink, you know, down the plug. I mean, I think that's quite a common thing, because I have a feeling my daughter did that as well, actually. But yeah, one of those things that, you know, they kind of love to do. So yeah, he was attracted to water, she's attracted to water. But he was definitely worse for water, she's definitely worse for mess and, you know, getting mucky and filthy. My oldest son, I don't think he was really attracted to water or anything, and I don't think he was overly mucky either. He was a grizzly baby, pretty grizzly and awful as a baby, but he was, I think he got to about 18 months old and he then just turned a corner and became, you know, quite a good boy really. And he's been just lovely ever since, really. I mean, obviously he does not have his moments. I mean, he's 16. He wouldn't really be normal, I guess, if he didn't. But on the whole, he's just lovely. He's, you know, quite considerate. Again, on the whole. I'm not saying always, but on the whole, he's quite considerate. He's good company. He's, you know, quite thoughtful. Reasonably tidy. Reasonably tidy. Definitely a lot tidier than my daughter, who again, her bedroom is just appalling. My middle son, his bedroom was appalling, and then we redecorated his bedroom, I think it was when he was 10, and he just instantly, from the moment his bedroom was decorated, I mean, his bedroom was decorated previously, but I think he didn't really have much storage in there, and once we decorated his bedroom with really carefully planned storage, that was it. He's never been messy again. In his room. He is messy, however, elsewhere. He's pretty messy when he's in the kitchen. He's the one who loves cooking. So, you know, he comes in from school and he'll cook all sorts of things, but he's pretty messy when he's doing that. So, and quite often, you know, you'll go in and, even if you say to him, clear up after you, he'll say, oh, I will, I always do. He doesn't, you know. I mean, he clears up most of it, but there's always then the odd thing left around. So like if he's been grating cheese, there'll be cheese everywhere, you know, and maybe a plate and, I don't know, like maybe one or two other things. If he's been cutting broccoli, you know, there'd be broccoli maybe like on the floor, something like that. You know, just those little bits of broccoli. Not the whole broccoli, obviously, but those little kind of strandy bits. So yeah, he's not quite as tidy as he likes to think, but having said that, he's not bad. And definitely his room, ever since it was decorated when he was 10, is amazing. I mean, actually it's often the tidiest place in the house. And as I say, he was very messy, so I am hoping that my daughter is going to suddenly turn the corner, or turn a corner, and you know, I mean, maybe kind of once she's a bit bigger and she has a little bit more of a grown-up bedroom, you know, perhaps we'll do a similar kind of decor, or, you know, decorating kind of effort in her room with similar storage, and maybe then she'll be really tidy. But I mean, obviously she's at the age where she has lots of stuff still. I mean, it probably helps that my sons obviously are much older, and you know, they don't really have, you know, they don't have toys really as such, do they? They have their phones, and that's kind of, that is their toy. So that probably, you know, that probably doesn't help that she's got lots of stuff at the moment, but I don't think she'd care. Even if she didn't have lots of stuff, I don't think she'd really be too bothered. There'd still be mess. She's one of them who just leaves a trail. Everywhere she goes, you can tell she's been there because there's a trail of stuff left in her wake. You know, if she has sweets, the sweet wrapper's there. If she has a drink, you know, the you know, the drink is not spilt as such, you know, it's not like she's spilling it all over, but, you know, there'll be drips on the table where she's had it. If she has biscuits, there's crumbs, you know, that kind of thing. And no matter how many times that you might say to her, look, you know, eat over your plate, or, you know, don't walk around eating, things like that, she just still does it, endlessly does it. Drives you potty. Absolutely drives you potty after a while. So, yeah. I can't actually remember even how we got onto that topic, but I mean, other than my craft stuff, I'm pretty tidy. You know, I can't bear the house being such a mess, and obviously, you know, having 5 people living in a house, my husband's pretty messy and my daughter obviously messy, so, you know, 5 people, 2 of whom are pretty messy, it's a struggle keeping on top of things and keeping everywhere, you know, reasonable. But yeah, I mean, other than my craft things, I would say I'm pretty tidy, but oh, my craft things just horrendous. But I guess again, it's that same old thing, you know, if you haven't really got great storage, you know, which, I mean, I have got storage, but I have got probably more things than I've got storage, if that makes sense. You know, it's then hard to be tidy, isn't it? Because I haven't really got the ideal storage, you know. Right. Enough of my waffling. So we're up to 30 minutes, and we've done, I think we did 12. I'm not going to bore you all by counting them out again, but that's our little pockets that we've made. I'm just going to have a sip of my tea. Right, pop that down. So as per the other ones, we will just decorate one of these pieces. So I'm not sure which piece to decorate. Just have a look and see if I've got anything laying around that looks really inspirational to pop on here, because that may help me decide which piece to use. Right, I've just found this little scrap. So, kind of thinking maybe that on there. You know, that's quite striking, isn't it, against that black? I mean, I do love using black, oddly, in journals. You know, it's really has a really awesome looking effect, doesn't it, using the black? So let me move these out of the way a bit. Yeah, I quite like that. Now, do we want to have a bit of sheet music? Got this sheet music here with this, oh gosh, what's it called? You know, like sellotape, where it was obviously damaged. You know, that was on there, obviously, when I got it. Isn't that awesome? Just love it. So, now obviously this is quite big, but I wonder whether we could have it, you know, maybe lengthways down there like that. So, quite like that. Just have a bit more of my tea. Oh, I just love my tea. The tea monster. So I'm just going to glue this down. I mean, you know, I'm just decorating one up each episode just for fun, so the episodes are not quite as dull as just literally making, you know, doing nothing but making the blank bases, because obviously that is very boring. And then this piece here, which, I mean, we could just have that at the bottom actually, something like that. So just glue that down. Like that. A bit more of my tea. Just having a look kind of to the side to see what bits I've got here that I can also use. So let's have a look. mean, I've said so many times, but well, you name it, it's here. So let's just cut some of that pearl trim. Like that. Still got some of this pretty lace. I was going to put it here, but actually what we could do is have it here on the, you know, the bottom pocket. Let me just finish my tea. Right, that's it, and then it's gone. And I'm not then being irritating, keep drinking it. So we can have that like that. Now I'll just have a look. Sorry for the rustling, that's just my carrier bag where I obviously dump my rubbish. Just have a look and see. I've got some of my fabulous flowers printables here. Now, obviously they're ready cut, so see whether any of those might be quite nice on here. Maybe something like that. So excuse me, now I've got suddenly a tickle in my throat. Right, cut that. So I'm going to ink this so that it all looks a little bit more in keeping. I mean, the black obviously is not really picking up the ink particularly, but I will just ink around it, just, you know, just the continuity really. And then I'll just, ooh, that's very inky suddenly. Right, because it's my new ink pad, but I obviously forgot that it was my new ink pad and kept dipping it in, so now it's really, really, really inky. Excuse me. Let's just have a look. Didn't really want to cover up the that sellotape over there, so let's just have a look. Just ink the lace a little bit. Okay, just pop the lid back on, trying to be good and, you know, be tidy. Well, tidy-ish. Just check, you know, because I've got obviously lots of different bits and bobs around here, so I'm just checking that I'm using the right things that I want to use. I don't want to use, you know, something and then think, oh, I wish I'd used something or other else. So just having a look. I've got some stamped butterflies, which may be better. I wonder if that flower is just a little bit too big. But it's a shame because I don't think I've really got any small ones. I've used, I think, all the small ones, and now I've just got the quite big ones left. So big ones or wrong colour is what I would say. Big or the wrong colour. So just always the way, isn't it? You just can't quite, you know, odds what you're going to actually be wanting to use at the time. Let's have a look what these are. Got these, which, oh, they're quite good actually. Let me move this out of the way. Move that. So, I mean, obviously that's not really going with that postage stamp, but does that matter? I don't really mind. About a little stamped clock or something instead. Oh, I'm not sure. Not sure. Right, let's ink these up and give these a try. So this was all going so well, and I just thought, oh, I'm determined not to overthink any of these things, so I'm just going to go for it. You know, because as if these videos aren't going to be dull enough, you know, I don't want them to be even more boring. So, there we go. That's quite nice actually, like that. Bit of pearl trim perhaps there. Perhaps we should put the clock or the flower on a bit of lace or something. So just grab some lace in. bear with me a moment. So I'll just cut around that. Oh, that's quite nice, isn't it? It just breaks it up slightly. Or actually, maybe even without the flower, to be honest. Maybe I don't really need the flower at all. So let me just glue the lace down on the side. Again, I'm just going to run that down like that. Now, I have caught that edge, but hopefully that's not going to be too problematic. So just take that up and wipe that glue off. I just dabbed it on there. Oh, I've thrown my wipe away. I don't want to get another one out because it will be wet and then it will be smudging things around. So just pulled that wipe back out. Right. Okay, so that's quite nice. Could have a little butterfly out there, I suppose. All that. Oh, I'm not sure now. Let me just have a look. Just going through my little odds and pieces down to the side. I've got a tiny butterfly that maybe would work. Got this bling, which that's quite nice actually. So perhaps I'll do it something like that. So let's just glue on that clock. And again, I'm just using the hot glue straight onto that lace, which will hopefully, you know, glue the lace down at the same time as the piece. There we go. And just take my butterfly. I want that there. Oh, I'm not sure. Let me see if I've got any of my favourite bling, because that might just be what I'm needing here. So I have got some other bits and pieces actually, which I've just spotted. So maybe I should layer up a couple of other stamped pieces. Oh, that's quite nice. Yeah, I might have to do that. Now, just looking for some of my favourite, my black bling, which just, you know, always love. There's a tiny bit, look, just laying around. Let me just stand up and see how it looks looking down. So that's the black. Let me zoom in a little bit. And then that's the gold one. Actually, maybe the gold one is quite nice for a change. So I'm going to stick these couple of pieces on here. So these are just stamped images onto some of the buff coloured paper. I love using that buff coloured, you know, paper or card. Just really good. Again, I just find that looks good with everything. So really like it. Again, just put that down there. Okay. Just get those hot glue threads off me, and we could have a little flower or something. Oops. Yeah, I quite love using black in journals. I think it's, you know, makes a really striking impact. So, yeah, nice. Really nice. Oh, just spotted. Got these flowers, which I haven't ever used these. Actually, I have used them, I think, but I used them wrong side up so that they were just like black side down rather than gold. So I probably will use them black side down, you know, black side up again, because I'm probably not really brave enough to go for the gold, although that does look nice, doesn't it? Oh, I'm going to be brave. Let's be brave and go for that. So looks nice, doesn't it? And it's nice to do something different and have something really different looking. Right, so that is my finished pocket. So again, if I just pull in, you know, this is just a stamped image that again is just laying around here, and that would just slot in at the side as a little pocket. So again, I haven't got a blank journal, but I'm just going to bring in this to demonstrate how this would kind of look. So that's your pocket, and obviously you could glue this down on like 2 sides. So you'd have then a pocket here, and then you'd have your pocket here. So, you know, really fun, super quick. They may well be my new favourite pieces. Like just corner around the corners there. Because yeah, they're just so quick to make. You know, we flew through them. So hope that you managed to make some. You know, if that was what you set out to do, and hope that you managed to make something else if you set out to do something else. And I hope that you'll all join me for the next mass making. So that will be obviously next week on the Tuesday as well. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks then. Bye.